Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Digital Arts Show. I'm Jim Sirianni, your host with the most, and I have to use that joke every single time. This show is part of the Digital Arts Festival that is produced by Center Stage Theater of Santa Barbara, right here in Santa Barbara, California. The Digital Arts Festival show streams nightly at 7 p.m. now through April 30th. Every day in April, we are featuring different artists throughout the community here in Santa Barbara and actually all across the country, from the East Coast, West Coast, and every place in between. You can find more about these shows on the Center Stage website, centerstagetheater.org, and just click on the blog tab in the upper right along all the tabs there. Just click on blog, and it'll take you to the Digital Arts Festival blog, and you can learn all about the artists that we are featuring throughout the entire month. The purpose of the Digital Arts Festival is to create an outlet for artists of all kinds to share their work and for all of us to connect together as audience members and as performers and share what we're doing and what everybody's doing in these times of shutdown and quarantine and sheltering in place and being, hashtag alone together. We will have dance, theater, music, film, visual arts, poetry, storytelling, comedy, and much, much more. And again, you can learn all about it on the Center Stage website, centerstagetheater.org, and just click on the blog tab. And on today's show, my guests today have been a part of the Santa Barbara theater community for many, many years. DramaDogs. DramaDogs, a theater company, is a multidisciplinary and project-driven theater production company that celebrates the creative process. It is the intention of DramaDogs to develop theatrical and performance pieces, training programs, and educational outreach that touch the human spirit. Ebony Lewis and Ken Gilbert, the co-artistic directors of DramaDogs, have been active in the local arts community for the past 25 years. And their mission continues to bring diverse material and provide cutting-edge theatrical experiences to the Santa Barbara arts community. And welcome to the show, Bonnie and Ken. It's been such a long time since I've seen you both.
I know, we look good.
You guys look fabulous.
Well, we had to work on it a while. I think this is the first time I've put makeup on in 2 weeks.
I know. I think everybody wears their pajama bottoms all day long.
Right.
I have to admit, I've had the same jeans that I've been wearing for the last 3 days because I'm like, nobody sees it.
Little right. TMI. Okay.
I know a little bit. So how are you both? Tell us a little bit about DramaDogs for those who aren't familiar. How did it all begin? How was it birthed?
It was birthed as a challenge from Bonnie to me when I had gone to a theater production with her, and we were leaving, and I just went on and on and on about how it didn't work for me. And she looked at me and she said, "Why don't you do something?" And I said, "Well, I do have a play." So in '91, we went down to LA and aligned with two other couples, and we produced Air for One. People from Santa Barbara went down to see it and was brought to Santa Barbara in '93. And that's when we aligned with Center Stage. So the producer of the show and I went to Center Stage. We had our project outlined and how we wanted to do it. And that's what began. We were Slightly Askew Play. We started out as the AKA Theater Productions. Then we became Slightly Askew Players. And then in 2000, we incorporated as DramaDogs.
And where does the name DramaDogs come from?
I thought it was fun to say.
Oh, okay.
It rolls off the tongue.
When we named Slightly Askew Players, there were three of us involved in the decisions, and I was overruled. So we went with Slightly Askew Players, and I just kept, in the back of my mind, I just kept thinking, DramaDogs, if we ever need it, it's there. So there it is.
That's the name that's stuck ever since.
That's the name that stuck. When we did get started, at the time we weren't married, so I was living in LA and he was in Santa Barbara, and it was kind of funny. That's really is what started it, because we would go to the theater. We kept going to theater. He kept complaining. I just kept getting tired of listening to it, and then all of a sudden, well, I have a play. And I said, "Great, I've got an actor. Let's go." So
did it.
So we did it, and then we have similar sensibilities. We like working together. We still do.
We come from two different focus disciplines. I'm a visual kinesthetic. Bonnie's an auditory kinesthetic. She can hear things in music that I can't perceive at all. Just I hear it, but I don't understand the details that she's listening to. And then with my visual, I have a lot of detail. So we do balance each other. We put together a production. Bonnie's background is dance, so the movement and my physicality through my disciplines of Pilates and Nia, we work it out. We are able to collaborate and work it out.
Oh, okay. So, which kind of leads to my next question. Since you both work as a team together, how does that work for the two of you? Do you each pretty much play set roles with the company, or is it a more fluid process? How does that work?
Yeah,
Good question.
it's a collaborative. There's times when we kind of butt up against each other just because we have points of view, but we do sit back and work it out together. Our most recent project, which was Climate Change Theater Action, was absolute collaborative between 5 actors and Bonnie and I, and it was amazing to watch it work. We have a very dear friend, Judith Green, who's an ethnographer, and she's captured by how we engage in our creative process. Ethnography is about culture and communication and how they interface, and we do ask the question, how are we going to make this work, which is the operative question, not what or why, how.
And back to your question, a lot of how we work together on a show, that's evolved as well. There were, for quite a while, I realized I just had to focus on the acting and let Ken direct, and perhaps I would do the acting and the production details, the administrative production detail that you have to do when you put on a show. Whereas he'd be doing the directing and then the artistic production details that you have to do when you on a show. And then there was one show that was, we had I had the struggle of, well, am I directing? Am I not directing? How does that work? And that was when, just as any couple, we had to step back and give it a breathing space and decide, okay, how is this working? And there were a number of times when we did co-direct something, and then each bringing our gifts, and that actually became a dance in and of itself. There are certain components that he would address or that I would address. So the relationship, it's always evolving and depending on the project, because there are some projects I go, I don't want to deal with any of that. Let me just do this.
Gotcha.
This component, because you know what it's like when you produce a show. It's multifaceted, and we both have our strengths and our weaknesses. And so, well, what can we do to best support the project at the time?
Right. And wow, that's amazing how that works for both of you. By the way, for those of you watching, if you want to learn more about DramaDogs, and as we're talking here, and you want to check out what they are all about, you can certainly check out their website. And is that dramadogs.org?
Yes.
Dramadogs.org. I was writing it down earlier and I stopped. I couldn't remember if it was .com or .org, but dramadogs.org. And maybe click over there as you're watching the interview, and you can have kind of a experience there with multi. Losing my train of thought. Anyway, but you can look at the website, you can watch the video, and do all of that.
When you go to that site, if you click on where it says production or relevant action, if you click on one of those tabs, if you click on the actual production and scroll down, you can actually see photos of our past productions. So, hopefully you're not, I a video of our performance while we're talking, but if you want to see pictures, and I think what I love about our company, and actually what I thoroughly love about Ken, he talks about the visual and his attention to detail and what he sees and how he pieces things together. Those pictures, I think, are really wonderful representative of our look, our style, and what we present. No matter where we're presenting, there are many components. They gel.
And also, I believe on the center stage theater blog, all of your information will be there, links to your
Yes.
pages as well,
Yes.
as well as the video. But let me ask you then, and you touched on it a little bit on the creative process. When you're putting together a show or a performance piece, what is that particular process like? Do you both work individually, solo, or as a group together? How does that work?
We start with a table read, and my first question always is, what do you want to explore in the character? I don't want to lay on anything to somebody's creative process. I want to hold the space for the creative process so they come into the piece as an informed and curious artist. So we collaborate from that place. We do the read-through. What did you notice? We do read-through. What did you notice? And then all of a sudden we start owning the physicality. We work from a physical base of how we sense and feel character, not just how. We don't work from the top down. We don't analyze to figure out how it's going to be acted. We move it through the process of physical and emotional, and then it is later laid on as to how we're going to block it or move it or whatever. But we do start with an organic request. What do you want to do with this? Because I've never wanted an authoritative director. I've always wanted to be a collaborator where I can engage my own creativity through their participation. And one of my favorite comments during rehearsal is, are we going to go there? Something has happened in rehearsal, a gesture or a tone or something different happened. And I love that question. Are we going to go there? Because if we are, we will. Or do we just consider that a sidetrack and move on?
And you know that as a director as well, when you see your performers doing something or doing the work, and all of a sudden something different emerges and you go, that might, that might be, that's the surprise. That's what's so exciting about the rehearsal process. And like Ken said, we don't tend to do for lack of a better word, and with all due respect, we don't tend to block a show right away. People move, they have an emotional life. And we don't block ourselves through our lives. So what if we brought that idea to a rehearsal process? How do you move? How does your character, can ask questions, how does your character breathe? We have an exercise, a physical exercise that we do where we explore our spines. How does your character stand? How could they possibly move through the space? And some of the challenges are, many people think, they're doing something, oh my God, that's what I'm going to have to do the whole process. It's like, no, this is where we're discovering opportunities. We're discovering possibilities of what how does your character move, breathe, interact, shape the space. And that's where the dancer in me comes into the theatrical process, because we're all aware of space. So your characters take up space, or they take up a little space, or they burst through their space, or they retreat in their space. And then what happens from that? And then the storytelling comes up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I kind of envision it almost like, like a building block kind of a process.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And for the actor, it's also a collaboration within themselves. How do they think, feel, and move as the character? So they're collaborating with the conversations of how they want to make it move forward. So the basic 3 steps are: we work from the spines, long and short, wide and narrow, advance and retreat. And everybody's a combination of those 6. And then we add, where's your body center? Where's the primary center of your movement? Is it in your chest? Is it in your elbow? And then gesture evolves from there. So there's the three ways of entering into the details of character.
Right. And let me ask you then also, in this time of shutdown and quarantine, how has the quarantine affected you? Are you able to work or create in this time, or what's that been like?
Well, I think first off, we've been struggling with our day-to-day jobs, because I teach at Santa Barbara City College. Ken has his own business. So part of this has been scrambling to, how do I create an online presence now as an educator? You know, we're not, you know, this is not, as much as I would love it to be, our sole livelihood, right? So we've had to tap dance a little bit too. So the theater company kind of had to, we had to put a few little breaks on things,
Right.
just from even an administrative point of view. We were working on a project with the library. We actually got a grant from the California Arts Council, and we were doing something. The library, our library, has a social justice book club, and I'm a part of that. And so the project was to find some representative books and integrate, you know, the books, and then find a group of actors and to share maybe actual sections of the book, and then integrate with that personal stories told either through poems or songs or dance or music or a monologue or something like that. So it's sort of morphed because we were going to get together and have a huge improvisational process, get together, put this puppy up in 2 weeks. Obviously, it's extended. So we're doing the work piecemeal. You know, I have to give everybody a chance to adapt and adjust to the new situation.
Right.
You know, we all have our own personal responses to the new situation. And I was in other people's money at Santa Barbara City College. So that was just completely canceled. So at the same time,
wow.
in our project, I was also involved in that project. And I was so excited because I was working with actors I hadn't worked with before. I mean, we know each other, but we hadn't worked with so closely, and things were going along so beautifully. And
Yeah.
and
I know.
and
Yeah.
I realized, you know, we were texting each other, and I realized it's not just the performing that I miss, Jim. It is it's the rehearsal process. It's the getting together and the discovering and the uncovering and the layering, and you mentioned about the building blocks that start to happen. And that, you know, that coming together, and then all of a sudden it was like, literally, talk about, you know, I'm sure Shakespeare had some, you know, just thrust asunder. I mean, you're just like pulled apart. And you're there, gone, done.
Oh, I know. It's so sad. I wondered about that with Other People's Money. I knew that you were doing that production. And I wondered, is there any possibility of them trying to maybe postpone it to the fall, or?
Yeah,
I don't know.
so much is up in the air, and you would have to talk to Michael about that, and you would
Right.
have to talk to the Santa Barbara City College people about the theater company about that. I don't know what they're planning. I mean, we were, like I said, working with the library, and
Right.
that has just been such a joy for us on one level. And then in the fall, we were going to be working at Center Stage. And
Right.
so we were in the process of finding material. And what was it that you said? Your phrase for we just have to pause that whole process, or just,
Yeah.
you know, because we don't know what's going to happen.
I know, and we don't know how long we're going to be in this quarantine. I've heard, you know, it may be extended into the summer, and that's, you know, that's a little bit daunting. So, but assuming that we are going to come out of this, and I believe that we will, is there any kind of work that you're working on now that you're thinking about doing once the quarantine ends? What's going on with that for you guys?
Well, we're exploring a few ideas for a play. I realized today that it needs to be relevant. That's how we're going to have to enter. It has to be relevant to what we have endured. When we had the fires and the mudslide, we did a climate change theater action in 2017 that we postponed into 2018. And the relevancy of that to what had happened to all of us. There were people in the primary trauma, but there was also the secondary trauma. Those of us who survived it in the community,
right,
were helplessly watching happened. So there's that connection to community that I want to be able to say, we're here to bring you something that will either soothe or comfort or create some sort of curiosity. So there's that coming in the fall. Don't know if that'll be yet. And then we have a project. I started calling it the Monologue Project, where we would go to TV Santa Barbara.
You might want to play, Jim. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to play.
So what we'll do is a monologue, and we'll work and rehearse the monologue. Then we'll go into the TV studio, and it will be performed, and then we'll break it down. How do we discover who this person is? And we came up with several different working titles: the Monologue Project, Breaking the Fourth Wall, because DramaDogs has always broken the fourth wall. Even when we're in proscenium arrangement, we still look out to the audience, engage them somehow. We don't have that fourth wall that is a permanent kind of part of the structure of the set. We move past that all the time.
Right.
So from working at the library in December, thank God that show wasn't canceled. We did another. We were affiliate. There's an organization called Climate Change Theater Action, and they come out every other year, and it's with a climate change, the climate accord meetings that happen through the UN every other year. And 50 playwrights donate short plays, or just like 3 to 5 pages long. So we combined about 5 or 6. We combined 6 of them, and then we performed this at the library. So that show was called Lighting the Way, and that was in December. So that's again a climate thing. Anyway, during that production, my brain's going like 6 different directions. During that production, we created a relationship with TVSB. And it was from that, and Ken has been talking about this Monologue Project, and we started thinking about what if, one of our company's classic questions, what if we went this way? So what if we created, for starters, a bi-monthly TV show doing monologues or scenes or short play, and then the rest, so we do the performance, and then the rest of the show is about discussing the creative process, like you're doing now with us, discussing like how does DramaDogs work, and now this way this will give another platform for actors to perform, another platform for people to discuss. You know, I mean, it's an art form. We have our ways, our styles of going about it, but the end result we want to create is something that's powerful, that impacts people.
It would also give us an opportunity to outreach into the artistic performing community and work with people who are interested in that kind of project. We have had that join up kind of thing happening for the last decade at least, where people come in and do a project, and then they want to come back when they can. And we invite people we've never worked with to say, let's explore together. And I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to because it is one-on-one, being a monologue, but the process isn't one-on-one. The process is the collaboration. So I think it has great potential.
So that's what we're working on. And that's the kind of thing we can do, some of the grunt work or the pre-production work. We don't have to be out there. We can do that in quarantine.
Right. You can do that now. And wow. Well, that sounds great. I love these ideas, and I hope that it all works out for you. That sounds like I like that idea of the Monologue Project. That sounds really cool. And that's what you're calling it, the Monologue Project?
Well, that's the working title right now.
Okay.
It's been interesting because we're talking to the
operations
director at TV Santa Barbara, and I made the comment, breaking the fourth wall, and he said, "What does that mean?" And he liked that. He thought that would be the title that we would want to work with. But when we put it out to people, they don't know what it is. Unless somebody has an affiliation with theater, they don't know what the fourth wall means.
Right.
Even though they experience it every time they go into a theater piece.
Right.
They don't realize it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a term that they might not necessarily be. But regardless, it sounds like a really cool idea, and I hope it works out for you guys. And unfortunately, we're just about out of time, but I just wanted to put out all your information about DramaDogs and how people can find you. And again, the website is dramadogs.org, and you can find out all about their company and what they do, and see all their stuff there, dramadogs.org. And you can also find out more about Center Stage on their website, centerstagetheater.org, and just click on the blog on the blog tab there, and that'll take you to the Digital Arts Festival page. And again, that's centerstagetheater.org, and find out what they're up to as well. And well, I just want to wish you both well and good health, and stay safe and continued success. And once we get out of this cocoon, hopefully we'll be
able to give each other a hug.
Yes, instead of virtual ones.
Yeah, instead of going like this all the time. I think that's what I'm missing the most.
Yeah. Yeah, human touch. I mean, just being able to like shake someone's hand, or, you know, give them a fist bump even, you know, something as simple as that.
Well,
But
it fits with our mission statement too. You know, we talked about touch the human spirit. So it's all
Right.
about the touch.
Exactly. But I just want to wish you both good luck, and with everything with DramaDogs, and thanks for joining us today.
Loved it. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.